Of the Griggs County Commission, February 3rd. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Those aren't very good for a meeting.
Take a few minutes to look over the agenda. We'll approve the agenda.
The only thing that changed from what I sent you last night is Jamie would like to talk about the opiate litigation, so I have that on when time allows.
Where are you going to put that?
I put it on the bottom there.
When time allows.
Okay, I see it. Okay. Any additions or corrections? Can I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Take a minute, look over the bills. Or the minutes. The minutes of the January 20th meeting. Anybody see any additions or corrections?
There he is.
There he is. Just in time.
Yes. You were temporarily overthrown.
Yeah.
Gonna make it permanent? No such luck.
Good luck.
I suppose if you wouldn't have survived the trip, but that's about the only way out now. As far as they stuck that piece of bamboo up my nose, I didn't know if I was gonna survive.
Seems like they go that far.
It goes farther than that.
We're at the approval of the minutes. I'll relinquish the chair over to Chairman Peterson. Make a motion to approve the January 20th minutes.
I'll make a motion. Motion by Mark to approve the January 20th minutes. Is that this?
I'll second it then.
Seconded by Scott. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I want to review the bills. What did we have Nest Plumbing do for 5293?
Maddie just was talking about that this morning. It was something that we had back in.
When we had that leak over here from the garage, I believe it was. That something wasn't hooked up right, or they found out they had a leaky hot water heater up above. Isn't that what it was?
Yeah.
Does that sound right, John?
Yeah, the water heater is up in the ceiling, and so then they had to go in there and redo something because we were flooded in the judge's chambers.
Must have missed that one.
$5,200.
That was a lot, yeah. Yeah.
Luckily, there's only about 7 of those water heaters in the house.
When was that, Sam?
That was a while ago.
That's typical, that's
November?
Yeah, Maddie was saying like we finally got the bill.
Yeah, it's pretty much, that's how Curtis works.
I remember there was a pipe that was coming out of the wall and there was water coming out of it. And I didn't know what the world that where even went to. But here it was an overflow for one of the water heaters up above that was leaking.
Yeah, that was a long time.
Yep. No surprise.
Let's see vouchers signed by Wayne.
A lot of them.
Yeah. We replaced a heat pump. That was $3,062 of it.
So what you're saying is we still have a bill coming for
The hot water heater.
Oh, that might be this next one here. There's a bunch of copper coupling, bushing, line set.
Still time to move back into the old courthouse.
It was more than one project, but it doesn't look like there's maybe a water heater. There's a
Yeah,
mini,
there, yeah.
mini split and a 3-ton compressor and
heat pump.
or heat pump compressor.
I'll make a motion to approve the vouchers as presented.
Motion by Mark to approve the vouchers as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Stephanie. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
Dale votes aye. Motion carries. Review the monthly office reports.
The water board did not meet in January, so they do not have a monthly office report.
Anybody have any questions on the office reports?
I'll make a motion to approve the office reports.
Motion by Scott to approve the office reports as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mark. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. What do you got for us today, Wayne?
We have got, probably just updates here from Paul. And we need to assign a responsible charge for the project, for the chip seal project. Which I can't remember if we did or not earlier. I didn't see anything where it was voted on.
We-
So usually it's the road superintendent that's.
No, I don't
Out there
rem-
on the project, they'll
Yeah.
be out there once a day, whatever. We'd need a motion. And then we also have to, do a selection committee.
Oh, for the
which is-
construction
for the
engineering.
Construction engineering, RFP. I did get the RFP was sent into the state highway department, and it will be posted on the 10th of February for the bid opening on the 11th. The RFP is for perform construction engineering on the SC 2000 parenthetical 017 PCN number 23229. Bituminous seal coat and fog seal. 21.7 miles total. And the proposals must be delivered to the office of the Griggs County Auditor at 805 Odegaard Avenue Southwest by 1 p.m. March 3rd, 2022.
I guess did you do a motion to advertise at the last meeting?
I think so.
I didn't listen to the audio.
There was something in the paper last time, or last week, this week, or week before I saw it. Something was in there.
That was probably for the construction.
Is that what it was? It was in there.
For the contractors, yeah.
Okay, that was in the paper, something like that.
Yeah, that was, I saw that.
Okay.
That was put in the DOT
Yeah.
for the actual construction.
Yep, there, it was voted on to solicit bids for the construction engineers on the NDDOT website.
So it will be posted in the local paper next week. It's gotta be in there.
When are the bids due on it?
March 3rd,
That's for,
the engineering.
that'd be for the proposals and you typically hold interviews after you review the proposals.
You know, so if we get several proposals, we'll have to do an interview after that sometime.
Okay, even if you only get one.
But after one, yeah.
Great.
So we need a motion to name you as the responsible party for,
Yep, responsive charge for the project. Responsible charge, I should
Oh,
say.
I'll make that motion. You need two commissioners then, correct? Then you have to have two commissioners, it says.
That's for
That's a
the,
separate
that's-
motion.
Separate motion for
Yeah,
that.
separate deal, yeah.
Okay, I'll make the motion for Wayne.
Motion by Scott to name Road Superintendent Owen as the responsible charge for the chip seal project on County Roads 28 and 26. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mark. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
And you need a motion to assign a selection committee. Typically, 2 commissioners and the highway superintendent. Doesn't have to be.
Who's on the road committee?
John and
John.
Dave.
John,
Yeah.
Dale.
I don't think we need to appoint anybody if we have those two that are already on that committee.
You wanna make it, I'll make a motion just to make it formal.
Okay.
John and Dale on that.
Selection.
Yeah.
Motion by Scott to name Commissioner Wakefield and Commissioner Peterson to the, what is it, the RFP committee? Is that what it is?
Selection committee.
Selection committee.
You wanna add Wayne to that? 2 or,
Oh,
yeah, 3.
And Wayne.
And then
okay.
typically 2 commissions and, okay. Yep,
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mark. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
All got some more, just an update on
Sure, I guess, I put a handout out, and I guess I think I emailed it out too, I think you might have got it. If Jeff distributed, I sent it this morning. No?
Yep, I already had the packets done by the time that you sent
Yeah,
that
I
out,
figured.
so.
But, basically, the prairie dog funds are filling up pretty, they're gaining some ground. Looks like they'd be close to filling up the county budgets at the end of the next biennium here, so could be seeing some decent distributions out of that coming up. Be, late summer of next year. And then, the other thing I wanted to touch on was the state ARPA funding. I guess the Griggs County will get, it probably already has it in your account of 547, 759 from the state, from House Bill 1505. They're supposed to make deposits here in January.
Connie said that came in.
Okay.
And that goes into that special,
Oh, yep,
Yeah.
that's that special. Yep.
but I think within that special fund, where does money come from?
So that was from the ARPA funds, what does ARPA stand for?
It doesn't matter.
The
So-
American Rescue Plan Act, sorry.
Okay, so within that special fund, I think we should have a line item that says, that names those ARPA funds, so they're separated from those other funds.
Okay.
So it'll all be part of that special fund, but there'll be a line item in there designating where they came from.
That way we can track them.
And because do we know what exactly they can be used for at this point? Or is
We
that-
don't, and that's why they need to be separated, so
Right.
that
Well,
so that we can recognize
All
that.
has some more.
There's some guidance on that too now. So the final rule for the ARPA funds came out here January 6th. And National Association of Counties put out a 40-page guideline, but basically what it boils down to is the first 10 million you can use basically for whatever you want. That's out of the 433,000 that came first. The stuff from so that basically up to $10 million that each county gets can be used to replenish lost income without having to show that you lost income, which none of the counties really did because their only income is property tax. So basically you can use it for whatever you want out of that fund. And before it was much more restricted.
So how much money's left in that fund? We already used that money in last year's budget process.
The COVID funds.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, the COVID funds were
Those were the.
And that's the monies you're talking about, correct?
well, there's two batches of ARPA funds. One's the one we're talking about now is the 433,346 that came in two separate tranches or whatever.
It was like 216,000, the first
Yeah,
one, right?
so you got half and then you.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Then you got
216
the other
and then-
half already?
Yeah.
Okay, that's how I thought that worked. That
So where is
one-
that? Where did that go?
Connie set up a fund. You talked to Connie about it, and she set up a fund for those.
Okay, so we used the first tranche of it in the budget.
Correct.
Okay, and the second tranche of it is where, in one of these funds? And now this is a third, you're talking
This is,
about?
yeah, this one should be
This
kept
is a
separate too, because it's different.
Right,
It's from the same legislation, but this is from the state House Bill 1505. This is
Yeah.
just for highway projects.
That's right.
right. So the second, so we should show the second tranche of it into a sub-account.
I
in
think
that
you guys
special
used the
fund.
CARES Act
For the budget.
for the budget.
Yeah.
I don't think you guys have touched
Yeah.
these ones.
Well,
I-
where did these go so that we know
Yeah.
what the dollar figure is, and they shouldn't be intermingled with the other funds at $600 some odd thousand that we have in
Right.
that special fund, which was set aside or created for our share of these federal projects. So now then we should have 4 different sub-accounts within that one account. Does that sound right?
Yes. There's this fund and this fund and this fund, but the COVID funds, yes, the COVID funds, we have, what's 1505?
That's the state fund. The state,
That's this,
the state ARPA funds that are
okay.
for highway.
So we
projects.
have a road 1505 fund, and so that's got the $547 and $547,759 in it. And then we have another account of the COVID funds of $339,398.31. And those were the funds that you used for the budget. So you haven't used these funds.
Okay, and so then there's that 433,
Yeah, it
has
was,
something been spent out of that to get down to that 3 something, or is that
Yeah.
a separate pot in addition?
Those were the CARES Act funds.
Okay, so that's separate,
Yeah.
okay.
But I'm talking about when we split the road fund into a special fund.
Yep,
What's the balance in that?
that one, okay. There's $850,356.81.
Okay, so if these funds are specifically and only dedicated towards road projects, then they should go into a sub-account.
Okay, so you want them within that fund?
I think so.
Just another
Is that the
line
only-
item.
Is that the only use for them?
Yeah, to be used for road and bridge projects.
Anything else?
No, that one was distributed by the Upper Great Plains Transportation Institute Needs Study, Transportation
And this
Needs
is the
Study.
435,000?
No, that's the
500.
547.
Okay, so that should be set up then in this special fund here with the same name that he's using here. I don't know what they call it, Arpa or whatever it is.
Okay.
Yeah, the help 1505.
Yeah,
So
because-
what we have is we have this special fund and this special fund. We have them totally separate. So that it's still road, it's still whatever, but they're completely separate.
No,
They don't even have.
So we have a road fund.
Yep,
And then we have a special fund that we
Yep.
split 800,000. Okay,
Yep.
now within that special fund,
yep,
we'll have a sub-account, a
Okay.
line item.
okay.
And it will designate, so now we'll be able to see the two balances and then we'll be able to see the total.
Okay.
Can we use those funds then for our 20%?
No, you can combine, you can make a 100% project. These can't be used to match other federal funds, but they can be used on a federal aid project without a match. So like the other COVID funds at 48,000, or was that the right number from here?
yeah.
So you could, it's pretty similar. They're not the same pot of money, but that's still at the state, I guess, the 48,000, right? That was 100% federal funds. These are 100% federal funds also. So you could combine them. You could actually put them into a state project and bid them with a federal aid, that you wouldn't have to match it, but these can't be used to match other funds.
It would decrease the overall cost of the project, and then we would be subject to the match after.
Right, exactly, yeah.
It's on age for a while.
You can have it, but not quite.
Well, and at
We might
the,
get around to where we can have it.
Yeah.
yeah, so they did talk about that at the, Wayne and I were at the county engineers conference here in
Yeah.
Dickinson last week. And Brian Fuchs had said that, you can put the money, make sure it's in at least a separate line item, if not a separate account. But if you use that to pay your normal highway bills, you can do that and then use your normal highway money
That's
to.
for now, that's for now. As the bum's getting closer and closer to getting thrown out of office, they're gonna be more generous with what to do with those money. And you can mark my words on that.
Well, and
It's called payola.
and there is a bill still that passed the Senate that's still at the House that would allow ARPA funds to be used as local match for other funds. That isn't passed yet, but hopefully it does.
After next fall, they're gonna be just throwing money at anybody and anybody that can crawl up to the voting booth.
Even if you can't.
Just hand us your ballot application.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's put it so we know where it's at, so that we can have use for it.
We can follow it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you do still have that other money at the state that's 100% federal too, but that would need to go into a separate project at this point.
But that money isn't given, that's only available if we do the project.
Right.
This
Yeah.
money is actually here.
Yes.
There's a difference.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And so we want to track the money that's actually here, and we want to put it off general fund so that it doesn't, we're not subjected to the limits as far as the mill levy when we go come budget time. See, if we put it into the general fund, then it offsets the amount of monies we can levy, and it throws the budgets into this big roller coaster ride.
Mm, yeah, right.
But monies that are approved that we haven't, that we can only use if we do the project, that's a totally different deal. But these monies aren't. These are actual hard cash that hopefully can be used to offset tax levies. That's the best purpose for any money. Don't create more projects, offset projects you already have.
Yeah, but I don't know if the House Bill 1505 funds have to be spent by September of 2024, like the other ARPA funds.
Yeah.
That's the only
Could be, well, like I
dates
said,
coming
like
up.
I said,
I
the
think,
deal.
is it September
Rules.
30th? I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
2024, I can't remember.
It's 2024 for sure, and then that bill that would allow it, HR 5735, I think it is, that would allow it to be used for local match would also extend the period but up to 2026. So it's, yeah, HR 5735. At the federal level. So it's got 146 co-sponsors out of 135 reps, so if it gets ever brought to a vote, it should make it, but we'll see.
Yeah, right now it's just being filibustered, isn't it?
I don't know.
Or actually, no, Pelosi will not allow it to come to a vote. That's what has been happening.
Okay. Wow. And for some reason, our representative hasn't signed on to it yet, and I actually sent them an email asking about it, but we should tackle them at the meeting. But it's got bipartisan support. I think it's 80, I can't remember, 80 and 60 some of each, so.
Well, I think he talked about that the money is gonna be coming from taxpayers anyway. And all this money's gotta come from somewhere.
Right.
Comes from the Xerox machine.
Yeah.
Tree over there.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Well, yeah, this has already been distributed, I just
Yeah.
make it more useful.
Yep.
But that was all I had. I did have a few, or a page that has the other upcoming projects we talked about. And I think they were asking about bridge projects, if you're not gonna do them, that to let them know, take them off the list at some point.
Yeah.
but they'll be,
We've got till 2024, or 2023, September 23. I think I saw.
yeah.
He said something about if people are just gonna keep putting it off, then you may just take them off and not have them on anymore, use the money for it.
Yeah, and if it was gonna bid, then you'd probably need to start the environmental work, this summer. For that one. Bridge projects are pretty difficult to get through the environmental process.
Well, there's only so much money, but there's way many more projects than
Yeah.
there is money available.
I mean, our approximate funds from local would be $380,000 for that bridge.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
I
on
don't,
the
I
township
think
road.
there's
Township
that's
road.
probably, I mean, it'd be nice to have it, but there's probably more pressing needs than that.
It's on Township Road, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's on county.
It's a county road.
County
County
road,
road.
it's not federal aid though.
6.
Six,
Right.
sorry.
There you go.
But I mean, you are getting 80-20 on most of it, so I don't know. It just depends on whether, it'd be the only opportunity to get that put through, or it just gets closed, or it has been closed already, or I don't know else. But that's all I have. I can take care of all the
All I got
pressing
too,
business.
there's a lot of,
So-
there's a lot of bad roads out there, and
Granted, we close a bridge for safety reasons. I know in the township, if you abandon a road, you have to have so much time for people to be able to come and speak on their point. We don't have to do that on account of, or if we're gonna replace it or not. I don't think that they,
we were ordered to close it. so-
yeah, I understand that. But if we keep,
So I think there's a little bit difference
yep,
in closing a section line like what you were talking about, township closing a section line. Statutorily, the road's section line is open to travel. There's a statutory easement for travel on a section line, whereas crossing a river with a bridge, if that can't be provided, if it's not fiscally responsible for the county to provide the bridge, there's some other place for the travel. So I think it's different in essence that the property is supposed, by law, the property is open, but by law, you don't have to provide a crossing at every intersection of a river or a stream. It's still open for, that section line is still open for travel, it's just that the bridge is closed and there's access to both sides of that property. You just have to go around to the next crossing, which might be inconvenient, but it also might not be fiscally responsible of the
Yep.
county to do that.
I mean, we've been closing bridges, the county's been
Yeah.
closing bridges since, for the last 50 years.
if not more.
Yeah, if not, well, yeah, certainly more, and
Yeah.
it's just, as the transportation becomes more efficient, there's less
Yep.
need for the bridges, I mean, no doubt
Yep.
it'd be nice to have a bridge on every section line, but that's not feasible, of course.
And this one's pretty low traffic too, so it's, kind of tough to make the case to put that kind of money into
Yeah.
one crossing.
Yeah.
Although detour length is, was it
8
12 miles one way, 18 miles the other way?
I think there's another bridge in Nelson County 8 miles north of there.
Yeah, but I mean just the road miles,
Oh, yeah.
all the way to,
Yeah.
if you're on one side of the bridge, you wanna get to the other.
Side, yeah.
It's-
Right.
I think I made last fall.
Out of a church road, but then you gotta go all the way out to
Yep.
Yeah,
45.
Yeah, so that's why I qualified for bridge fund, for federal bridge funds, because of the detour length.
Oh.
I mean, that Ottawa Church Bridge, that's what, 20 years old, that's in pretty good shape.
It's
That's all
probably
cement.
not now, but it's,
Yeah,
I think it's
it was a
one of the last
concrete,
ones that
yeah. Okay.
All right, thanks, Paul, thanks, Wayne.
Get all the motions we need to have.
they-
Okay.
So, we got Human Services Zone Director.
Jill, are you on?
There she is.
No.
Okay, I'm here.
Alright.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So you should have a couple of handouts. The first one I want us to look at is the one that has all the numbers on it. It's CY 2022 indirect costs, January payment. So let's take a look at that one first, okay? So this one shows the, if you look at Griggs, so the countywide cost allocation that was submitted in 2018 was $44,895. 25% of that is the $11,223.75 that came back to you, okay? I've also highlighted Nelson County. If you turn to the back page of it, you will see the indirect costs, or the amount we got for indirect costs is $52,508.32. Okay, so those are to cover paper, our copiers, our all of those indirect costs that the state is not paying through the direct side. Okay, any questions so far?
Maybe,
So in looking at last,
maybe my initial question was misunderstood. Quite possibly. So this all goes back to the inception of the state taking over the human services. And we were sold the idea with the promise that we would give up control, but we would also not have to be financially responsible for any of it. So that's the only premise I'm operating under. And I forget the lady's name that was the last time we were on the video conference. She intimated that from here going forward, that our costs for maintaining human services, the county's costs, were going to be increasing over and above what our reimbursement would be. So I'm fine with the state following through with their promise to us that we relinquish control, but I'm not fine with the relinquish control and then having a net payment for human services. That wasn't the deal, that wasn't the bargain, and I don't think after the fact we should go to that point. So whatever numbers you have here is pretty much irrelevant if we're going to go forward and eventually we're going to be paying more than we're receiving. That was the question, real, just blunt and simple.
but truly, I don't know that we are. At this point, the amount of money we are getting from the state for the indirect costs is, so if I can continue, is 52,000, okay? So let's say, and if you want to look at the sheet that says Eastern Plains, so if you take out that countywide cost allocation to Griggs County is 11,000. If you take out the 24,000 for the payment to Nelson County, the expenses paid out by the Nelson County auditor, that covers everything. So Nelson County is paying for all of the bills for the two counties. If you subtract that from the 52,000, there's still $3,240 left in that account. So the indirect money that we got for Eastern Plains is covering the indirect costs.
Should I point out
Okay.
the flaw in your presentation here? We're still
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, we're still providing all the floor space, all of the infrastructure and everything else, and we wouldn't have to do that. We could say we're not going to provide that. We would still get the same amount of money. The state would have to go out and rent that space, and in a real world scenario, we could then rent out this space to some other entity and earn money from it. So there's all different ways to look at this, but the simplest way to look at it is we should be paid for what we're providing, because the state would have to rent that space anywhere, and that should be money to us, and the rest of the expense should be that of the state. That's what we were promised. Now, we have no way to hold, we have no way to hold
The
you to
building was
that.
never, that, for building space was never promised. Not that I've ever heard. That was never something. That was always something that the counties needed to provide.
Well, I'll disagree with you, because the county didn't provide it. It was down in a separate facility. And the state was paying for that. So that argument doesn't hold true. It wasn't even in this facility. We decided to move it to this facility after this courthouse was built. It wasn't even coming up here. It was still staying down there, and then the state was paying for that facility. So that's not a valid argument.
And so then why was social services moved to the courthouse then?
Efficiency on our part, because it was moved to up here before this whole thing took place. We were maintaining part of that project down there, that building down there, so we moved it up here. We thought this building was too big. We revamped the purposes of the new courthouse, and we made room for social services.
But why did you do that?
Because we were still in charge of social services.
Okay.
It was after the fact,
Well-
so it was too late to go back to the situation we had. But anyway, that my question is, what changed? And the further question is there no accountability in the state to be held responsible for what they told us? Or do they just get to make the rules and now be in charge of social services, and then we have no control over salaries or anything else now? So now we are made to pay for expenses that we don't get to have any say over. And that's really not the way that the democracy is supposed to run. We're spending taxpayer dollars, allowing taxpayer
actually,
dollars to
you're
be
not
spent
spending taxpayer dollars.
without the county commission having any control over where those dollars go. And
But what I'm saying is,
it'll be hard for you to argue anything else, because it is what it is. So
what are you paying for? I mean, other than the space and the utilities?
that's
What
it.
is the county paying for?
That's a pretty big number. The space and the utilities is a pretty big number over and above what we were originally sold as a bill of goods here. It was going to cost zero for us, and we were going to give up control. And actually we gave up more than that. We were building a reserve with the monies the state was giving us. We were building a reserve within the social services. They were allocating 12% basically. We were doing it for 8%. And the proof of that is when the state took it over, about $140,000 was still in an account. The state made us spend that on absolutely foolish things because they didn't want that money there. We were being prudent with the money the state was giving us. The state then was, for whatever reason, we can speculate the reason, of course, but they made us get rid of that money. We've lost all control, but yet they want to spend Griggs County taxpayer monies. That wasn't the original argument or the sales pitch. I just don't know what legal recourse we have on this.
But I guess I'm still not necessarily understanding your question. I feel like your question changes a bit, but the taxpayer dollars are being spent on a building you already have, correct? I mean, so yes, social services is in that building, but you would pay for that building regardless.
Well, think about what you're saying.
Correct or
If
no?
social services wasn't in that building, that is a rentable space. That is a usable space. That is an income producing space. It could be used
So you
or
would rent
rented
that
out.
out to somebody else?
Theoretically, of course.
Okay.
So it has an income potential. All that's doing is just proving the point that we are providing something that we were never intended to have to provide, over and above what the original agreement is. Now, I don't know if we can be held to the original agreement legally, but I can ask the questions and have someone come and explain it to me.
Well, but again, I think that's where we're going to agree, we're gonna have to agree to disagree, because from everything that I was told, that there was never, I mean, the counties were expected to take care of the buildings.
That wasn't the original agreement, but of course, when you say we can, when you say, when a bureaucracy says we can agree to disagree, and the bureaucracy gets to make the rule, it's basically telling us to shut up and pay the money. And that's all there is to it. We can agree to disagree, but if we disagree, what satisfaction do we get out of that? So anyway, I'm done talking.
continue?
You answered my question, and I have no more questions, and I don't need any more
Can
information.
I continue? I guess I do have some more that I would like to continue on with.
No, I'm
please.
fine. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So what I am proposing, or what I would like to see, is to make this process a bit easier. So when we're looking at the indirect costs, and rather than you guys and Nelson County both levying for a $500,000, at this point, we have enough money to cover those indirect costs. I would propose that 52,000, so it comes in two different payments, one in January, one in June. That money is kept in Nelson County to pay for all of the indirect costs, which Nelson County is currently already doing. Then, at the end of the year, or in November, we take a look at how much is left. And then at that point, we divvy that out based on the 52%, 48%. So rather than giving you that countywide cost allocation of 11,000 and then you having to levy for a $500,000, it just seems like this would make more sense. It's up to you guys. This is my simplistic mind working. But that's what I would propose.
Well, I mean, that was the argument I made last time, that if, what sense does it make to you, for you to pay, or the state to pay us and we to pay back? If it's gonna be a wash, why are both sides paying? Let's just have it that way. And when I said that, then I forget the other lady's name, she said, well, yeah, that would work now, but going forward, it's going to be a lopsided issue. So how are we going to assume that that's not going to be the case? Or are we going to assume that it's going to be a wash going forward and we won't be responsible for levying anything?
Well, and I can't promise you that you won't be responsible for levying some in the future.
Okay.
I can't guarantee that. I think what she was probably saying is that since Nelson County is the host, your countywide cost allocation money will go down a bit because social services is now going to be under Nelson County.
Okay, so there's my second, it's always been my second question.
Okay?
If we are then expected to pay more over and above than is what is returned to us, what is the mechanism, the legal mechanism that binds us to that? What is the century code? What's the authority of the state to demand money from the Griggs County taxpayers?
Well, so when this whole thing started, there was an agreement signed by the county commission in Griggs County, the chair of the county commission at that point. And I can grab it here.
I'm familiar with it. I was here.
Pardon me?
I was here. I'm familiar with it. I was part of that
Okay.
discussion, and we had multiple discussions on that. And that's
Sure.
where this whole premise comes, that they told us by giving up control, we would also not be financially responsible. That was the only reason we went along with it, by the way.
Well, but part of that agreement is that, that there are statements in there that you agreed to about financial responsibility. So if you want, I can get you a copy of that agreement.
No, I fully understand that what we were told and what was written are two different things. I just didn't expect that. That isn't a fair negotiation, and you're not supposed to have to. With a partner in a business, you're not supposed to have to run it through a legal process in order to make sure that each side is telling each other the truth. So we were presented with the document and told what was in it. If that's not what was in it, then shame on us for believing the state.
Okay, so again, I guess I have a thought, and I don't know if you want to act on that or what your thoughts are, as far as changing how that money is divvied out amongst the two counties. And so it also, in looking at the bill that was billed to you from Nelson County, I don't see that bill needs to be paid. The way I figure it, again, there is enough money in that indirect pot of funds to pay for that. Now, last year was a year that some things had been paid ahead the year before. So I anticipate the expenses will be more than $13,000 moving forward. However, that's what it was last year.
Mm-hmm. So who determines the expenses each year?
Excuse me?
Who determines the expenses? So if we don't have any say over what's spent, and we have to leave it to someone else to determine whether or not we get any money back, or we broke even, or we owe money,
Sure.
you can see the problem there, can't you?
Sure. No, I understand that.
Yeah.
It would be up to the director to make that decision, I guess, and there you need to have some trust in the person leading your group.
Kind of like the trust we had in the state when we signed the agreement, you know? I mean, if you can't see the absurdity of this, we're giving up control of the Griggs County taxpayer dollars to an unelected, out-of-county bureaucrat. That doesn't make any sense. That's not our job. We're supposed to protect the taxpayers of Griggs County, not offer them up as a sacrifice. At the whim
So
of,
have you had experiences that the citizens of Griggs County, their needs are not being met? I mean, has there been concerns with how our agency has done business?
No, you're missing the point. Not that. On the payment side of it, shouldn't the Griggs County taxpayers be able to, through their representatives, determine how their money is going to be spent? That's the whole purpose of government, a representative government.
Well, but you do have representation on the zone board. The zone board reviews the bills every single month, or every time they meet. I should say, not every month.
Other way around, it's supposed to be. They're unelected officials. We don't have the ability to tell the zone board what to do.
But you have a commissioner on the zone board. That's my point.
You know,
Well, I know, but
yeah, I'm just saying that, you know.
So what does that mean? Can you tell them no? Don't spend that money.
If we vote against it, yeah.
Can you tell them? There's one commissioner on there.
Well, I mean,
there's four of us.
I know, I'm just saying, there is a vote there, you know.
It has to. We are responsible
Yes,
for
we
the
are.
county
Both-
funds.
yeah,
Get
both-
this straight.
Both
It doesn't
counties.
matter if there's a commissioner on that board. He or she has zero control.
I think what John is trying to say too is that even as commissioners, the only time we have power to do anything, unless this is different than any other board I've been on, is when we meet.
That's correct.
One commissioner doesn't have the authority to spend county money.
It's a token putting the
But again,
commissioners on.
this isn't county money. This is money that's coming from the state. This isn't
Yeah.
considered county dollars.
Yet,
Yeah.
because you said that
Sure.
we're in total
Yeah.
agreement right now. That as long as it's a wash and it doesn't cost the county any money, although we are putting in the building, but that isn't, if in the future it does, we have to have control over whether or not we agree with those costs. Without the ability to debate that and have the ability to say no at this level, we don't have any control.
Or yes.
Or yes, but I mean,
Yep.
We're not to that point yet, because we're still
right.
not paying any money out of pocket.
Well, we are. We're giving them a facility that has a value.
Yeah, and they're
we're
giving
not
us
being
money
compensated
back
for it.
for that.
But if we said you can't be in the facility, they would.
They'd
still-
have to go on the free
That's
market.
right. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. And so either, any way you argue this, it doesn't make sense from what we were first ventured into this thing with what we understood. I mean, it's only you and I left, but.
You know, and I don't remember the details of that was some time ago. And
It was quite a time ago.
And
So we're at an impasse and
the long and the short, we don't owe Nelson County any money.
no, and we did make a step forward. We got to the point where you pay us, I pay, and so now we're just, I don't feel good about Nelson County or any other bureaucracy making the decisions on how much money to spend. And if there's not enough, we'll just bill Griggs County for it. That can't happen.
No, that's,
So what would make you comfortable? What could we do that would make you feel more comfortable with the spending of the indirect costs?
Well, if the indirect costs never cost Griggs County any money, we're fine with that. That was the original agreement. It was, the state wanted control. You have to realize why this happened. This was a result not of the state wanting, in my opinion, of the state wanting to be in charge of social services. The state was facing a budget crisis, and they were looking for anywhere and everywhere to try and scrape dollars together. And the social services money was there. They thought, as all bureaucracies do, that they could do a better job of running it than the individual counties, and that they could put money back in the coffers. That's what they did. That was the reason behind it. And if they say that wasn't the reason now, well, fine, but it was. And now they realize that as everything happens, it costs more to do it, and there's not as much control. And rather than, they're still in a budget crisis, rather than try to pay for it out of state funds, now they want to put the cost back on to the county without relinquishing any control back to the county.
I guess my question would be that since it's dollars in and dollars out right now at this point, have you had any complaints from any Griggs County recipients on services?
No,
I haven't
not,
had any.
not that I have heard of, no.
I haven't had any phone
Oh, and I'm not
calls.
arguing
No,
that.
but I'm,
No.
if the money's in and out, and at this point, it isn't costing us any dollars other than supplying room and heat, for the amount of services that are offered, I'm willing to, accept this at this point. But it isn't costing us anything, other than what we're supplying.
the potential is there for it.
Yeah.
So my point
Yes.
is, what happens then when it does? Are you willing to sit here and say, okay, we're going to pay
Yeah.
pay the cost when it
Yeah.
does
Yeah.
come to that point? Because if
And-
that's the case,
And once the horse is
We've lost
out of the
control.
barn, it's a lot harder to get her back in again. You know,
So would you feel better if we provided monthly what what is being spent through the indirect cost? Would that help you to feel more comfortable?
itemized,
That's what we did before.
We can itemize it.
yeah,
We can
so
do
what
whatever.
things
yeah.
are, you know, that's,
it doesn't make any difference unless we have control over it.
yeah.
If you see it coming and you still can't stop it,
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
Train will be here in 10 minutes, well,
Yeah.
but you can't get off the track. It doesn't make any, so it doesn't make any difference what happens if we get to a point where some unelected entity is spending Griggs County taxpayer dollars. If that happens, then we are in a position that we never, ever should have agreed to, didn't know we were agreeing to, and I still haven't been shown the century code that allows that to happen anyway. Because budgets are approved on a yearly basis. And so anyway, you said it, we'll have to agree to disagree, but agree to disagree is a completely one-sided operation in this as we sit now. And all I can do is, if I don't like individually, not as a board, if I don't like it individually what's happening, all I can do is just keep calling attention to it, which I've been doing for the last 7 years or 6 years. And if my voice becomes aggravated and causes change, well, then I did my job, I guess.
So, moving forward then with, I'm sorry, did I interrupt somebody?
I was just questioning there, of these indirect payments from the state, there's 324056 left, and that'll be split percentage-wise between Griggs and Nelson counties. That's in excess of what the indirect costs were.
That's in excess of what the indirect costs were, yes.
So the Eastern Plains District is gonna send Griggs County roughly $5,555 as their share.
48%.
No.
Is that what you were requesting? So again, my thought was I will present this to you today. I present it to Nelson County on Tuesday. We have to have both commissions agree to it if that's how we're going to do it, if we are going to change the plan.
Well, what would have happened to that 324056 if it isn't allocated back to the counties? Would it just lay in a fund and they build a little reserve, or?
It would sit in a fund and then probably be divided out next year. I mean, if we went with this the way that I was looking at. Now, if we don't change anything and you continue to get that 11,000, Nelson continues to get that, and then you levy for that $500,000, then it would just stay in that fund that's earmarked for us.
So how about if we just don't pay anything and let the process take place and let you guys run the social services, and if we just make it a policy that we'll take you at your word that it's not going to cost us anything, and if it's not going to cost us anything, we're not going to pay anything. That's the easiest way. Then we don't have to rely on anybody.
I think that's what she is proposing, isn't
This I give you $1,100 and you give me $1,100.
Yeah.
Seems like a pointless exercise.
For now, but I mean going forward, let's have the agreement that Griggs County is never going to put any money into social services, and from here on forward, if there's excess money, let it stay in social services.
Absolutely.
And then that would be the agreement that I would be in favor of. That will guarantee that social services will be run as the state wanted it run, and it'll guarantee that Griggs County, after relinquishing control, will not be financially bound to it.
So
and
I don't.
Nelson County.
I don't think this 3240 should come back to
No,
the county,
no.
because
No?
it should stay in the social services.
Nelson County,
Yeah.
up there with their
Yeah.
general fund.
Does that sound acceptable? I think that's what you're talking about.
No, it should not.
Okay, just so I understand, so that 32 will stay in, that 3,200 or 3,240 will stay in there now.
Yep.
Yes.
Griggs County will not give any money to Nelson County for social services. So then what about at the end of next year? If there is excess in that money, or in that pot? Is that something you
Stays
want
within social services.
divided back then?
No,
No, if we're in,
Nope, you
we're
wanna keep
in,
it in
if we're
there?
out, we're out.
yep,
So when, once we give you that money, we don't ever want you coming to Griggs County and saying, now we're short. That can't be part of the bargain. But see, I can see right
Well,
now
but-
that you can't promise that, and now you see the problem, don't
Of
you?
course I can't promise that, you know that. There's no possible way. I don't have a crystal ball, neither do you.
You just proved my argument for me, thank you. So why would we want to enter it into any kind of agreement if you cannot enter into an agreement? You see? You
Well-
just told us you cannot promise anything, so you cannot agree to anything, so why should we?
Okay, so then you tell me how you want this handled then.
It doesn't matter how I
That
tell
was
you
my,
because you're not.
that was my
I-
solution.
I
but
just
guess,
told you.
I don't know.
I just told you. And you told us you can't do it. If we're out, we're out. If we're in, we're in. We just gave you all the money that would be coming to us in exchange for not coming to us and wanting money, and you said you can't do that. So that only tells me one thing.
At this point, I'd like to make sure that the money that's indirect from the state stays within social services and doesn't come back to the county. Then it gets utilized for what its intended purpose was.
Well, but what, so if we came back to the county, if they can't guarantee they're not gonna charge us money in the future, why couldn't it come back to the county? We could sit on it and use it for future monies. We can't give away one side again
Yeah,
without having the
a
this
guarantee
side.
that, yeah.
I'm just the conscience of the agreement that was made prior. That's what we were, I'm not being unreasonable, I'm just trying to hold everybody to what was originally intended.
And
So-
what the original intent was in the document we signed may not line up perfectly.
Well, maybe not in the document, but in the presentation it does.
Right, yeah.
This was well, you remember, it was a long contentious discussion with many times going through it. And anyway, but again, if you ask me what I thought personally, and I told you, but I know you can't agree to that, so where are we at?
Right. If the zone keeps this excess funds in a separate account for at some point when they need more money.
Well, no, but we don't have, I mean, if we're not going to come to an agreement, let's get every dime back here we can, and we'll put it in a separate account.
Yeah. So we don't have to levy.
Right. And then we'll fight that fight down the road. So I think we should have the money back that we're due,
Put it in a special account.
put it in a special account, we'll start a special fund, we'll put it in there.
And see where it goes.
Yep.
No, if they're not gonna guarantee that it's not gonna get to be a negative number at the
Right.
end of the, yeah.
This year, or next year, or the year
Yeah,
following.
or there's just no way to know.
That's right.
and no fault of your own, but that's just the way it is. You can't, nobody's got a crystal ball saying what's gonna happen. But if we get the dollars, at least we'll know.
Yeah.
Would that be acceptable?
So I'm having a hard time hearing some of it, so repeat exactly what your agreement or what you thought, okay?
If you can do that, Dale.
After talking a little bit here, we're thinking we're gonna take our 48% of the 3240 and we're gonna place it in a special fund within Griggs County. And we'll do that same with the, going forward with anything that's surplus from the indirect costs of the state. so that at some point, if there's no surplus, we have a fund to pay it out of so we don't have to levy.
That sounds fair?
I think that sounds fair, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, with
So,
one,
just so I'm understanding,
well, with one stipulation, that we don't agree that that Griggs County should ever be charged over and above, that we should never have to put Griggs County dollars into this. We're not gonna, I'm not gonna stipulate to that. I can't.
No,
Budgets are on a yearly basis.
basis.
So any money that Griggs County is gonna owe in the future has to be presented to us prior to our budget. And
budgetary
it can't be,
process.
and it certainly cannot be demanded. There has to be a process where we have the right to deny it,
To scrutinize it.
deny it. The right of
Yeah.
denial is always what we
Yeah,
have.
but I mean, we can go through and line item, yeah, like we do our budgetary process.
If you can't say no, it's not a process.
No, sure enough.
so am I hearing correctly then, that the indirect payments will stay with Nelson County? At the end of November, beginning of December, we will look at those and we will redistribute them back to the counties, 5248. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Yeah, with no other stipulations, I'm fine with that, and that we will oppose any attempt to have Griggs County taxpayers put in the system going forward, because we don't have the ability to even consent to that. Budgets are on a yearly basis. We allocate money on a yearly basis. So if we owe money next year, you have to tell us before the budgetary process, and we have to decide whether or not we're going to pay that or not. And I don't know, I still have to have somebody show us a legal basis that allows us, the board, to levy money over the objection of the commission. I can't believe that's possible.
Is that why we're
But at
levying?
this point, I'm not requesting
Yep,
the.
No, I know that.
To
Yeah.
levy.
Is that why we're levying a $500,000 for that contingency?
And that was just a suggestion from the prior director,
Sure.
that when, after, not when it started, but after the money got used up,
No.
that was a suggestion, she could keep it at $500,000.
No.
And so, no, none of this, again, I still will
It
have
would
to.
have been way better if they just left the money that we had accumulated
absolutely.
rather than spending it on vehicles and this, that, and the other thing. But
Mhm.
water under the bridge there, fellas.
Mhm.
Was that? Yeah.
So this is just a verbal handshake agreement? Or is this just how we think it's gonna work, and
Gonna submit or propose this to Nelson County, and if they agree, that's what will happen going forward.
Right, I guess my thoughts are, I would like a motion, with that. And then, yes, I will bring it to Nelson County, see what they say next week, and then I would put this in the zone plan.
Can you read that back to us, Dale, our discussion?
Can I-
It's kind of a,
I'll read it to you, Mark.
okay,
She wants us to agree to let the zone decide the budget and the monies that are spent. And if the monies aren't covered by another entity, she wants us to be responsible for it. And we can't even do that. We cannot look forward and allow that.
I didn't say that I expected you to be responsible. At this point, again, what I'm saying is the amount that we are getting is 52,000.
Yep.
see that?
Last year, we spent 13,000 of that. Okay? If you take away the countywide cost allocations that you guys took back. So I don't anticipate there is going to be, at least in the next couple of years.
Right.
Beyond that, I guess you'll have to deal with it with a different director, you know, I mean,
That's fine, that's fine. So send us the money that we're due, and we'll deal with this on a yearly basis.
You know, I think you're talking the 324056.
Right.
Our share of that. And,
So she'd like something in the form of a motion for what, so she can present it to Nelson County, what our thoughts are on how to handle this
and that there
unspent.
would be a special fund for these dollars to go into, or a line item.
Well, there are
Yeah.
Griggs County taxpayer dollars, so
Absolutely.
where we put them is irrelevant.
Yeah.
We can use them as a reserve in case,
Yes.
or we can distribute them back to the actual people that own them in the form of tax relief.
But I think she's looking for a motion so she knows what to tell Nelson County we would like to do with our,
I make a motion that we receive the monies over and above and are paid back to Griggs County on a yearly basis.
Is that enough?
motion by John to request the excess indirect payments from the state be returned to the counties on the percentage basis agreed to 52 and 48%.
Yeah. To be determined on a yearly
okay,
basis.
just so I understand then that it will all go into the indirect pot, excuse me, right away, and then at the end of the year. Is that your understanding? Is that what you're wishing?
It is, and the problem is, of course, who has control of that money?
Social services.
Well, you know, again, we can certainly do an itemized statement to you on a monthly basis as to what we're spending that indirect money on.
No, but I mean, who actually has that decision? I mean, that's a question. Is it the board? Is it Nelson County? Is it, who does have
The
decision?
director.
The director?
It would be the director.
And are those monies allocated to Griggs County initially, or are they allocated to, are we surrendering money that's allocated to Griggs County? Or are these monies allocated directly to the board,
The zone.
the zone?
So it is sent to the zone, and the different zones do it differently. Some send back the amount to each county, and then each county pays for their own indirect costs. You could do that. To me, this way seemed the simplest, especially since Nelson County is already paying for all of the bills.
So it's $44,000, $44,895, is that correct? Indirect cost payment? No?
So that's the countywide cost allocation money from 2018.
Okay, and how much is it
It went
this
to
year?
Griggs County.
Oh, see, I see going across here. So are we giving up that money coming to us and it's just going directly to the zone?
Or is it not coming to us in the first place? I think is what you're wondering. Did you hear the question?
I'm sorry, no?
Okay, I think you're talking about the 52,508, right? Over
Well,
here.
I'm confused on whether or not the money comes to Griggs County
Yeah.
initially, and then we have just.
No, it does not.
So
It does
none of
not
it
go
ever
to
come-
Griggs County. It goes to the host county.
Okay,
Because they do the accounting.
Right? It goes to the host county.
Yep.
Did we have a motion?
We got the first half of it.
I'm gonna say that.
Yeah, no, it goes to the host county. And the host county decides how the money is spent?
The host county just does the accounting. The zone
They just pay
decides
bills.
that's how it's spent. Is that correct?
As far as I know it is.
Yeah.
Would you prefer to have your share come back to you and then all of the indirect costs for Griggs County are paid out of that, then you guys pay for those then with that fund?
Is that a possibility?
Is that something you would prefer?
Is that a possibility?
Yeah. I mean, Nelson County, again, would have to agree to it because, you know, that wasn't the intent or the plan when you guys first started this, but yeah, I would assume that would be just fine.
So explain, does Nelson County have any control over where the money is spent? Or are they in the
No.
same position we are?
Yeah, they
Okay.
really are.
I think the only difference between the two counties is that they're the administrating county for payroll and for benefits. They're in Nelson County is in the same position as Griggs County. They don't have any more say over what happens than what Griggs County does.
Okay, so the board, the zone board is directly responsible for setting their budget and spending the money, correct?
So for the indirects, basically the state does this formula and then that's the amount you get.
Right.
So as someone who is, you know, I try to be fiscally responsible, then
Yep.
I would stay within that amount.
But, right, okay, so there we go. Do you have to stay within that amount, or do you have the ability to, you have to? So if you spend more than that money allocated, you don't have the ability to come to Griggs County and ask for more?
Well, and I guess if it was me as the director and something had come up or we had to expend extra, then I would be coming to the commission saying, this is what's going on. And asking for that permission before we even purchased it. I would not overspend the budget.
And if we said no?
Well, then I guess we'd have to figure it out.
So you don't have the ability to spend Griggs County money without our permission?
No, they don't.
I guess I wouldn't.
Well, no,
I can't speak for other directors. I wouldn't. That's just my personality.
but I mean, you couldn't. But you said you'd have to come to the Griggs County Board to ask permission, and if we don't give permission, you couldn't, because I don't think you got a key to the treasury. No, yeah, I got it now, so I think we should just have the money sent back to us, and we'll be in control of it, and every time there's an overage, or if there is an overage, you'll have to come to us and explain it to us, and that's the way the process is supposed to work.
So then you will take on paying all of the indirect bills then for Griggs County.
No, up to the point of the money that's allocated to us. No deficit spending. We will spend the money that's allocated to us, but after that point, you just said you're gonna manage it. If you spend more than what we've been allocated, we have the right of refusal, the way I understand it, and that's fine.
Well, and I suppose with the indirect costs, is there a chance that you could do some sort of budget for us and what you would be spending those dollars on?
Sure,
And,
I think
you
you
know,
could.
That'd be just like the part of the budget process of what we,
Well, I mean, we don't have, on the adverse side of this, we shouldn't be able to make money on this, because that
Yeah.
wasn't the agreement either.
Yeah,
But we shouldn't have to put money into it either, like, although we are giving the facility, and that's fine, I'm fine with that.
yep.
And
Because we do have, that gives us a little bit of control, but, so, I don't think we have to have the ability to scrutinize
Yeah,
where
but
the
if we
money's
don't,
spent,
then,
we just
no.
want to be able to say we're not spending any more than
Yeah.
we're given.
and we don't want to be the person doing the accounting.
No, and we don't want to be the person making the decisions, because unless we can make all the decisions, it
No,
won't
if
be
you,
right.
if you try to make decisions and it's not your money, then
Yeah,
that
we'll
doesn't work.
put the money in a jar with a spigot, and we'll open the spigot as long as there's money in the jar, and when it runs out, then it's gone till the next year. Does that make sense?
So we're looking for a motion to.
I have a motion by Wakefield to have the indirect cost state payment kept in Nelson County and request excess indirect cost funds be returned to the individual counties on the 52% Nelson, 47% Griggs ratio at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Is
So
that correct?
it's not kept in Nelson County, sent to Griggs County. Our portion sent to
No,
Griggs
so
County.
the payments will go to Nelson County, and at the end of the year, then it'll be
The
paid to us.
overages come back to
Back
the
to
individual
Yes,
counties.
yep.
Is there a second on that motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mark. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same
Aye.
sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Next is the employee manual.
I guess I'm the only department head here right now. There is a few things that I would like to change, if I may. Just kind of asking you guys to put them in. One of the things that I have had some not kind of complaints, but not, it's just kind of like, well, that doesn't really make sense, is the accrual of vacation time. Between 5 and 15 years, you don't gain any more vacation time. We were just kind of wondering if maybe we could do, a day more each year or something like that, because, 5 to 15 years, that's kind of a huge gap to, be
What
here.
page is that chart on?
39.
Okay.
The packet number 39.
Okay.
So we were just kind of wondering if maybe there was something that we could do there and just increase it a little bit, because that is quite a bit of time to be here and not receive any more vacation.
Suppose we could just cut it off at 5 years too. Maybe at the 15.
Say that again.
He's being,
Instead of having a 16-year table here, we just cut it off at 5.
So you only get the 15.
Yeah, it's only a half a day for another after 15 years and another day after 16 years.
I wonder what I don't have it.
I don't.
I don't have an opinion either way, but I wonder what the rationale was. Button stuck in the adding machine, it just kept going 15.
It was just kind of, like you said, weird, whatever. So we were just kind of wondering if maybe that could be changed. There is also on page 18, 19, 46 and 47. When I came across this, it just kind of didn't really make sense to me. And then when I told the other department heads what I was going to say, it was probably because it just never got changed. But on the bottom it says an employee leaving on vacation may receive his or her paycheck before the normal payday. Can we please get this taken out? That would require my office to do an entire payroll for one employee. When I had spoken to the other department heads, it kind of sounded like this was before they were getting paid twice a month. It was when they were just getting once a month. So then that was kind of how they could do that. But if we could please get that changed, because it's never happened. Nobody's ever asked for it, but I can't say that my office would do that. That's a really big process for one person. And I don't want somebody to say, well, it's in the employee manual that I can have this. And then on
So you
the,
just want that sentence
That
removed?
line
yes,
removed.
yes. And then on the holidays, I was wondering if you guys, this year we did do the Christmas, landed on a Saturday, and Christmas Eve was on a Friday. If you wanted to put in the employee manual that if that happens, that employees will get half a day of the 23rd and the full day of the 24th off, so that we're not wondering what we do when this happens again. Those were just, my personal.
Didn't we set, aren't we like the Supreme Court? Didn't we set a precedent?
But we had done it in the past and we didn't remember what we did. So
I know.
But those are just my personal things when I read through the employee manual.
And do we need motions to delete or to add?
Yes.
Why don't we have all these suggestions put in writing and we can act on them
Individually?
next
At
time?
that time?
Yeah, at the next
Okay.
meeting, yeah. So that everybody has the time, maybe it can get sent to us so we can look at it and.
Because I kind of like to look at the vacation thing a little bit.
Me too.
How that,
Okay.
And the one change, go ahead.
I just opened up another Parkview's vacation policy, and ours goes 1 to 2 years, 2 to 5 years, 5 to 15, and then 15 plus. So it's kind of like
So it is about the
Similar.
same
5 to
thing.
10.
Yeah. Okay.
I wonder what the rationale behind
So-
that is. It makes me wonder. Yeah, okay.
And
Well,
no
if you
places
get
are.
15 days vacation, that's 3 weeks.
Yep.
Plus 10 and a half days
Ours?
of holidays, that's 25 days,
And then 1 day a month for sick.
yeah. That's
Ours is
37
also
days.
accrued on hours worked, so
So,
it's an accrual base.
and this is kind of in hand with the addition of this other holiday. I think we should, it doesn't matter to me which holidays we recognize, but I think we should just recognize 10 and a half days and let the employees and elected officials pick which holiday that's gonna be. Because otherwise, if every time a president or a governor adds a holiday, he or she is spending Griggs County taxpayer dollars. Why should in 2024, when Trump wins and declares his birthday a national holiday, why should the Griggs County taxpayers have to pay for that? So I think it doesn't matter which holidays they are, but we have 10 and a half days right now. Let's throw the new holiday in there. Let's let the employees vote on which holidays they want, and let's make that in stone until the next time a holiday is added and go through the process again,
So we give them 10 and a half days
which they have right now.
now, and then that lasts.
So if we wanted to not have,
The June 13th.
if we wanted Juneteenth and then didn't want,
Good Friday, say.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Maybe lay them out on the calendar and see so you space them out.
But you can't do it. You can't do it on a yearly basis.
Yeah.
Once you decide it, then it doesn't get changed again until there's another holiday added.
Or President's Day, or
Yeah,
whatever if they
so
wanted to.
Griggs County will recognize 10 and a half individual holidays to be determined as a result of a majority vote of the employees and elected officials. This process will be repeated each time a holiday is approved at the state or federal level.
What do you think of that?
And then at Parkview only recognizes 7, so
Well,
Yeah.
all right, so I've been taking an impromptu poll. And what I've been asking people is, which holidays they thought should be paid holidays for the county. And the number one answer was, they get paid holidays. And so I don't know if it's very popular, but we're at 10.5 now. I don't think we should go to 11.5. And that has nothing to do with the holiday being added. I think that holiday can be added if that is what the majority of the elected officials and employees want. So it'll be the decision, and I think that should be a blind vote. Just like you'd send, just like an absentee ballot, you send out the ballot without anybody's name on it, you send a return on an envelope to put it in. When it comes in, you take it out and you vote, and then those are the holidays going forward until some bureaucrat names another holiday, and then you go through the process again, would be my suggestion. And
So then you would revise the employee manual to take out that statement that says, or any holidays. Where is that page?
Yeah, every day appointed by the President of the United States or the Governor of North Dakota, I'd strike
Yeah.
that
Strike
from
that.
there.
yeah, I don't think that the federal government or the state government should be spending Griggs County taxpayer dollars.
And then once they determine which holidays, then it'll determine
Yeah.
what days they were gonna get paid time and a half, or whatever it says here, double time for working a holiday.
Does that, if the employee manual states that, and then the sheriff's or somebody works on a holiday,
Then they get double time.
but even if the courthouse doesn't,
No, if it's, I mean, if.
so
the
if
If the courthouse is open, they get 10.5 holidays just like everybody else. So if the courthouse is open, they're working, they don't get double time.
okay,
You have to treat everybody equally.
so that's not legally, we don't have to, if the
No.
courthouse hours are these, they
Yeah.
wouldn't get the time and a half.
No.
Okay.
So Steph, was it, you wanted to revise that down to 7 days?
no. No, I'm just saying that, they get a lot of holidays. So, I mean, it's more than some places do, so.
Well, I mean, as long as we're having the discussion, the problem is, of course, that the normal working person in Griggs County doesn't receive this kind of treatment. So we have people working on those holidays to pay the wages of the people that have the day off, and because we work at the bequest of the taxpayer, it's not a real good idea to show the taxpayer that we're being treated better than they are. And that's a real poor way to go to the taxpayer and ask them to vote for you if you are getting better treatment than they are, and worse yet, they're having to go to work in order to pay for that better treatment. Doesn't look right to me in my eye, but it's the way of government, but I guess that's why government isn't very well liked.
I don't think they pay much attention, but, I mean, the bankers and the school has how many holidays that they're not open, so
I
it's
know,
always been that way, I guess.
Well, most of those places aren't open because they deal with the federal government and they're not open. You know,
Hi, we're still open.
and I don't think anybody really cares if it's not open. I think where the problem comes is it's when they're being paid for not being there. I think is what aggravates a lot of people. No doubt, a lot of those people are self-employed, but they still have to pay the wages of the people that are getting the paid day off. So I don't think we should push too hard on this. It looks real bad. So that's the only change that I'm gonna propose, other than just crumpling the whole thing up and throwing it away.
Well, there kind of has to be a set of guidelines to follow, or it gets pretty
Yep.
disconjointed.
Yep. It does.
I do like adding the detail on there if it lands on a weekend, because you're gonna run into that again next year.
So, where was that first change you proposed, Sam, about getting rid of that sentence?
Page 18 and 19 of the employee manual, not of the packet. It's at the bottom of 18 and then, yeah, it's 18.
Because I think we could make that motion today and at least eliminate that chunk.
That's on the payroll, right?
Yeah.
Yep, that's the employee leaving on vacation may receive his or her paycheck before the normal payday.
Do you have a,
So that whole pay advance is,
That probably
can,
came back when they were paying in cash 100 years ago.
yeah,
Out of the treasurer.
yeah. So if we could just eliminate that whole 4.4,
that sentence?
that whole pay advance, because
Well, it could be somebody could go on vacation, decide not to come back.
If weather keeps on like this, it might be me.
You want to eliminate the pay advance?
the whole,
portion?
yeah.
I'll make that a motion.
What page are we on again? I lost track.
1846 of the packet.
Motion by Mark to remove line 2 of section 4.4 of pay advances. An employee leaving on vacation may receive his or her paycheck before normal pay. We're gonna remove that line.
Well, I think, aren't we going to remove the whole thing? Neither pay advances nor extensions of credit earned wages will be provided to employees.
we want to leave that.
We want to leave that part?
Yeah.
Okay, just that last sentence.
Yeah, that last sentence is contradicting the sentence above it.
Okay.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Scott. Are we gonna go through these one by one, or are we gonna,
No, we'll just do this and then we'll do, like what John was saying, we can
Put the rest
let
of it.
people talk about the
the vacation one,
vacation
and
one.
do a little more looking at
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Okay.
I think that's the only one we're really.
Yeah, this one's pretty straightforward. so-
Yeah.
That was seconded by who?
By Scott.
By Scott.
Okay, is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion?
Do you have a pet?
Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Right.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
You're not having alarms with me. It's time to feed the cat.
Yeah. You don't have it Bluetooth, do you? So you can just push it and the wheel goes around?
No. You have to have a lot of them.
Anybody else see any?
There's what- we won't put it in, but for next meeting, that's what should be for the.
Okay. Do you want me to add that to the list?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll get my list or these ones and then,
You just take that.
perfect. Excellent.
Is there anything else anyone wants to add to the list, add or remove from this packet? Or
We need a motion to table it until next meeting. Okay, I make that motion. To table the rest of the employee handbook.
motion by Mark to table the employee handbook update until next meeting? Is there a second?
I'll second.
I'll second.
Second by Stephanie. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Came in kind of came in kind of late there. Game of Chance permit.
It's the same one I always go for. They're selling the quilts up at Red Willow.
They are the first ones each year.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow. That's early.
Yeah, and I seen that their event isn't until August.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are always here.
Oh, very good.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Which is great that they're
Yeah.
That
I'll
way,
make-
ahead of it instead of
that way
behind.
I'll
when they
make a
do.
motion to approve the game of chance for Red Willow Bible Camp.
Motion by Mark to approve Game of Chance permit for Red Willow Bible Camp. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Stephanie. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same
Aye.
sign. Motion carries. Jamie, opioid litigation.
The class action lawsuit with the opioid manufacturers has been settled. I have a settlement agreement that I've been sent for us to potentially sign on to. It's 610 pages long, and I haven't gotten to read through the important stuff. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna read through all 610 pages.
Oh, come on.
But it appears that it's just gonna go into a settlement fund that's gonna be distributed by the state anyway. So I'll take a look at it, and it's gotta be signed by the 26th. So I'll bring it back in full on the next meeting, which is before the 26th. One other thing quickly, there was a trailer stolen in Nelson County, or not in Nelson County, in Griggs County yesterday.
A trailer?
A trailer.
Right.
There was a utility trailer stolen from town overnight, I think on Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. It was found in Nelson County and a person was arrested this afternoon. So law enforcement did a good job there. And I'll have a couple emergency management things for you guys at the next meeting too, for some contracts probably to sign for multi-hazard mitigation plan, and it appears that there's going to be an active shooter thing worked out at the hospital and school, so we'll probably have some contracts for that too.
All right. Old courthouse, new courthouse.
I emailed one individual at the state, and I received an email back stating that we have to come up with a plan for our plaque, and we have to be released from the Historical Society. That email got sent off, and I have not heard any more from them. Another thing I suppose we have to do, even if we have permission from them, we have to have the mortgage modified, I would guess, because that's part of what's financing this building. So I don't know if you guys want me to contact the trustee with Bank of North Dakota, see if that's even possible.
Before we get too much farther down the road.
I can do that. I'll send an email this next week to them and see what they have to say.
Well, the Historical Society has got to sign off for the National Register. Yeah. They're the ones that have the authority. So the
National
National
Register.
Register gave the State Historical Society the determination whether or not
See if I can find the email that I have.
Because that's the whole thing. Without the National Register releasing it, we have to pay back the funds
Right.
for this building.
Okay.
The $1.2
There it is.
million of free money.
Okay.
Not free. Yeah.
Not pretty.
No. Yeah. So that's the whole problem.
She also, the update to the nomination needs the history of the building since the original listing to be written on the nomination form. Also needs to follow the standards of National Register for Historic Places program. Let's see, and we need to have a plan for salvage done as well.
And who wrote that to you?
Lisa Steckler, or no, Lorna did. Lorna Meyer wrote that one.
She's still the director of the State Historical Society.
Her title is the Historic Preservation Specialist.
Who's in charge of the Historical Society?
Or was, he retired, is that a woman now?
I think it's Lisa. Is it Lisa?
Lisa
Steckler?
Steckler.
Right?
I've been communicating with Lisa Steckler too. I kind of wonder if it's her. I'll
Somebody
actually
else.
I'll actually forward this off to Sam and she can give it to you guys.
It was Myron, was it,
There we go. Yeah.
Myron, he was from Finley originally, correct?
Oh,
Pavla.
Oh.
Pavlard.
Yeah, that's it,
Yeah.
that's it, yeah. He was, and then, and then a woman took over, but I don't know the name.
I thought it was Lorna, but it must be Lisa Steckler.
Yeah.
Steckler.
I think she's the one.
Steckler.
We have the email that says it'll never be torn down.
Hmm.
Wasn't supposed to have the email, it just got included.
So before we get a plan for salvage, we should probably find out, or design a plaque, we should probably find out if the trustees will change the mortgage and relinquish the lien
I'll
on
see
it.
why
if we jump
we
in,
will to take care of that.
if it'll ever happen.
That seems like the right order to do things.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll get on that this next week. Hopefully I have an answer for you guys by next meeting for the mortgage, but I would guess there is no reason for them to decrease their position.
Other than their dollar value of their,
Yeah,
you know,
it's-
that's owed
the
is
notice is
significantly less than originally.
Seems to me once you give that collateral up, it doesn't seem like the bank really ever wants to give it back.
Well, maybe we just give it back to them.
That's been discussed way more than you would ever imagine at these meetings. It had 2 votes for a long time. Never got 3. I can guarantee it still got 1.
You have any future business?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Dang, I was gonna say that.
Motion by Mark to adjourn, is there a second?
Me.
Second by Scott. Any discussion? Any
Everybody
discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Hi.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned at 4:24 PM. Next meeting, regular meeting, is Thursday, February 17th at 2:30 in this room.
Do you have the remote for